I'd like for you to say that, sir.
Ferris, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Your Honor.
Ferris Bueller. Okay. Ferris Bueller. Marvin Ferris Bueller. All right. Mr. Ferris, are you ready?
I am, Your Honor. I believe we've come to an agreement on this. Mr. Rodriguez has agreed.
It has been announced to me as such. Adrian Rodriguez, would you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right. You may put your hand down, sir. Mr. Rodriguez, before we go into the actual proceeding, I'm going to, as part of the proceeding, I'm going to review with you verbally some rights and protections that you're provided in this country. These rights and protections will be discussed verbally and then in written form, perhaps 2 or 3 more times. The first right you have is the right to remain silent. That means that you do not have to say anything. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit written paperwork that has your signature, and especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. You understand you have that right.
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to a jury trial. That means that you and your attorney could select, or you and your attorney and the state's attorney could select 6 people to be jurors. Those 6 people are from a random pool or panel of jurors. Those 6 people would hear the evidence, see whatever documentation and forms there are, and then they would decide whether you're guilty or not guilty. That's called the right to a jury trial. You have that right. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to confront witnesses. That means that you and your attorney can cross-examine, question, or challenge any witness who would testify. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to appeal. That means that at the end of this process, when it's been resolved, however it's been resolved, you are alone, or your attorney alone, or the 2 of you working together would have the right to demand that a higher court review the official record, look and see and hear the evidence involved, and then decide whatever challenges you're making. That is called basically the right of appeal. You'd have to follow some time limitations, use the right forms, etc. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then you also have the right to demand that this proceeding, or any of the proceedings in this case, be done in the open public courtroom. Because of the COVID pandemic, we're not doing that right now. But what we are doing is broadcasting this on video conference and in the YouTube. YouTube is a public type of broadcast. It is live streamed, and anyone who wants to can, from the public, can see, tune in and see and hear everything going on. That's called the right to demand a public forum. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, these rights that I've discussed with you, they have been part of the public record. Ms. Kaylin Rivera is the court reporter that's been recording all of this. We're now going to show you paperwork, the papers of this proceeding. Those papers, for the most part, at the top will have what I call identifying information. If you look at your screen, you will notice the case number is 639886. It says the state of Texas versus Adrian Rodriguez in County Court at Law Number 5, Bexar County, Texas. That is almost like a stamp. It will be repeated on all each of the new documents that you'll be shown, with one exception. and you'll see what's going on there. After that identifying information, you have the title of the document. That title will be in all capitals, bold print. The first one is called the state's consent to video conference. When I said that you have the right to demand an open public hearing, the state also has individual right to have that done. And you'll notice this one is signed by Andrew Harris Edelman on behalf of the state, saying that he agrees, he consents to doing this by video conference. You see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. The second document is called Discovery Acknowledgement. Again, the identifying information starts off this document. The title is Discovery Acknowledgement. I will point your attention to the very first line of this document. It talks about a particular law, Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. We're not going to give you an exam and expect you to know those numbers, but what this is a document that tells you that the state of Texas requires the prosecutors to share with you, acknowledge to you, the different parts or elements of evidence, whether it's testimony or materials, documents, books, etc. They're required to let you see and understand all that, have access to it, so that you are fully informed. You know what you're doing, and you're making a good decision, or the best one you can make. This one is signed by your attorney and the state's attorney. They are saying to the world and officially in this record that that law has been obeyed. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, the next section then, the next document, again with identifying information, same thing as before. Now, the title of this one is Defendant's Consent to Video Conference. That's yours. That's yours. That's
Yes,
where
sir.
Adrian Rodriguez says, hey, I'm in agreement to do this by video conference. Did you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you signed it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, the next document is a document titled After the Identifying Information. This document says Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights in Court's Admonition. This thing it starts off with 3 different sentences. It says, among other things, that you were charged with criminal mischief. And then the third sentence there is, in this one, read what it says. In this cause, I hereby enter plea. You see that?
The nolo contendere.
Okay, read the whole sentence, though.
Oh, in this cause, I hereby enter a plea of nolo contendere to the following allegations: criminal mischief, $750 to $2,500.
Okay, so you know what we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir. No contest.
All right. The rest of this document is divided into 15, for the most part, because there's more than that, but it's divided into 15 numbered parts. The first, number 1 part talks about what is the punishment for what you did. There's a stack of little vertical boxes, and next to each box, there's a statement or declaration about a different type of crime and what the punishment is. The only one that's marked says Class A. Can you read that?
Yes, sir. Class A, $0 to $400,000 fine.
No.
And
It's not 400,000. Read it again, sir.
Oh, sorry. Class A, $0 to $4,000 fine,
Right.
and 0 to 1 year jail.
All right. So that's a punishment range. Anywhere in there, you can properly be punished. Now, did you read and understand all the rest of these paragraphs or portions?
Yes, sir. Was that the like the right to a jury and just kind of
Okay. Where were you born, sir?
Waco, Texas?
Waco. Okay. Some people might disagree, but that is part of the United States, and that makes you a citizen of the United States. One of the things I need to review and make sure you know is that the deal you and your attorney have made with the state, it is not binding on me. I am required as a judge to say yes or no to your deal. I have to decide one way or the other. If I say, no, I'm not accepting this deal, it's not what I want, I don't think it's right, whatever. Or if I give you a punishment that's within the proper range, but is heavier than what you agreed to, then in either case, the law would allow you to start all over again, and nothing that you've said or anything that you've signed would be used against you. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, the records are showing that you are a U.S. citizen, so that's part of this documentation. All these records are part of all these documents are part of the records. Now we're going to scroll and we're going to have some more documents. And you did sign this, and so did your attorney, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. This document now, a different document, starts off again with the identifying information. This one is mine, where I certify to you your rights to appeal in this particular case. The title of the document is Trial Court's Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. This is again a stack of little vertical boxes. They're clear. In each one, next to each box is a declaration of the right to appeal. The fifth box, counting from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one says, and I am certifying to you as part of this document. There you are, it's outlined for you. This is a plea bargain case, and the defendant has no right of appeal. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you did sign the document.
Yes, sir.
I will make sure that the document is noted or marked as I have mentioned to you.
Yes,
The
sir.
next document we're going to scroll to. This next document is called Application for Deferred Adjudication. The application for deferred adjudication is particularly important. Let me tell you why. This is a form of probation, meaning that you are entering a written, legal, binding agreement between you and this court. That agreement includes this. When you enter a plea of nolo contendere, the court takes that as a guilty plea. And that plea alone is sufficient for me to convict you. Now, because this is an agreement for deferred adjudication, deferred is another word for postponed, okay? Because of this agreement, I will enter a finding that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I'm not going to find you guilty. Not at this time. That might result later, and we'll talk about that. The point is that you will not be convicted if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision. If you fail or refuse to live up to the conditions completely and totally, then the state may ask me to give you official notice, bring you in for a hearing, and then at that point, I may enter a conviction, a finding of guilt, which will stay with you the rest of your life. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, when I say you have to live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, those conditions will be read to you. You will sign them. You will have a copy in your hands. There won't be none of this later, well, I didn't know the conditions, or I didn't know that was the condition. You will know exactly what they are.
Yes,
There's
sir.
a lot of things that you have to do and a lot of things that you better not do. You cannot do. Is that
Yes, sir.
clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, if you violate the conditions and I find you guilty or enter a conviction, then you're looking at all of the punishment, $0 to $4,000 fine, and jail 0 days to 1 year. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
This is serious stuff. All right.
Yes.
So now scroll, please. By the way, did you know and understand this application when you signed it? You know what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This document that you're looking at now That one does not have the identifying information at the top that the other documents have. And the reason is simple. This is an entire, complete personal data information. It identifies the heck out of you. You see and understand what I'm talking about here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now you're working for FedEx.
Yes, sir.
You're making $13.25 an hour. How long have you worked with them?
I want to say since November or December 12th, 2019.
Okay, so you're a year and a half already, huh?
Yes, sir.
When are you going to go full time?
Well, the thing was, Your Honor, I was actually in college. So when I had moved back to Waco in November 2019, I had got back into college January 16th, 2020. And I actually recently graduated from college in January. And I was actually planning on going into the United States Air Force as an officer. And so I was getting my background checked, and that's kind of how I figured out I had warrants. So I'm trying to actually go in the United States Air Force as an aviation officer.
So they're still going to accept you because they're deferred?
Yes, sir. I have to go in front of a selection board February 2022. They're going to ask me what happened, and I have to explain the situation. So, yes, sir.
Well, I hope that you give an explanation that's sufficient for them to let you by. As I mentioned to you earlier, deferred adjudication completed means that you do not have, under Texas law, you don't have a conviction. Now, the federal government might look at that a little bit different, but that's, hopefully you'll be okay. All right.
Yes.
Now, scroll a little further. You're perhaps going into the military, and you have a Chevy Suburban,
Yes, Your Honor.
2003. That's an oldie but a goodie, huh?
Honestly, my dad was enlisted, so like he was an E7. I'm actually the youngest of three. So my dad couldn't really afford a new car, so he would buy old ones and work on them. So that's kind of how we all got in the habit of
So
buying old cars.
you got a old but dependable vehicle, and nothing else. Your dad took care of it for you, huh?
Nah, I had to take care of it. My dad's one of those, if it breaks down, you got to fix it.
Okay. All right. Then at this time, we're going to go to what's called the plea deal. It's the agreement in writing. You see this says plea agreement, and then it says State of Texas versus Adrian Rodriguez, case number as before. The first two boxes will be marked. The first one being the repetition, again, of the fact that you have the right to remain silent. The second one makes for the record or establishes in this record that you are a U.S. citizen. Then the next section has a stack of 5 boxes. They all appear to be checkmarked. In those, did you see and understand the different rights and protections that you have?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ferris, as an officer of the court, are you telling me that you're aware that Mr. Rodriguez has gone over this section and he understands it?
I went over each line with him, Your Honor, yes.
All right. Then it is a repetition, or rather, scroll it, please. The next section identifies again that you're charged with criminal mischief, 700 to 2,500, 750 to 2,500, pardon me. To that charge at this time, officially, what is your plea?
Nullo contendere.
Thank you, sir. As I mentioned before, a nullo contendere plea is considered a guilty plea in this court and is sufficient for me to convict you. The next section, it has an order in there for you to appear in the offices of County Court at Law Number 5 so that you can have your thumbprint placed on the documents as required by law. The court at this time takes in consideration and dismisses County Court case number 639882. Now, as part of your punishment, the court finds that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty but I do not find you guilty. I honor the agreement that's been made with you to grant you deferred adjudication of 6 months. You will have a fine of $500. You will pay a fine of $500. You will attend and complete in good faith the APSE course program. It's an anti-anger. It's an anger management type of course. Scroll, please. Your supervisory fee, sir, I am setting at $38 a month. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes, Your Honor.
any questions?
I did have one. I know that the paperwork was stating that I had to be in San Antonio within 7 days. I live in Waco. I was curious if there would be any way possible that I could possibly get fingerprinted in Waco.
When you say, is there any way possible? It is probably, there is a possibility. I, though, will order you to come in this one time and go ahead and have your fingerprint physically placed on the documents. You come into County Court at law number 5. Waco is, let's see, 200-mile drive, basically. It's 100 miles up from Austin.
Well, I'd say it's about a 2.5, 3-hour drive, depending on traffic.
Right, I understand that. Avoid Austin during the rush hours. You might just take the what you call it?
Toll road.
The toll road. My family frequently takes that because we have twin daughters up in Dallas. So we go through Waco. We go over the pretty lit up bridge there by Baylor.
And please tell me you don't stop at Magnolia.
Yeah. You just come in one time during working hours between, let's say, 9 and 3, 9 and 4 at your convenience, and have that done. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, as far as the probation, since you live in Waco, what is that county?
McLennan.
McLennan. The court finds and approves that Mr. Rodriguez shall reside in McLennan County during this probation, shall report by video conference or other appropriate electronic means. Now, as soon as I get through, Mr. Rodriguez, you will meet in what's called breakout room with the lady named Maricela Luna. She is a court liaison officer that will set you up for the probation. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, just don't disappear on us. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's so far. Any other questions, sir?
I guess, would you possibly, this is my last one, this is it. Would you possibly be able to lower down the probation fine, just because right now I am paying all my bills on my own, and I'm also having to get this, the legal process has not been cheap, and I'm actually paying off my credit cards because the qualifier for an Air Force officer, I have to have a 40% credit usage or less. So there really is no extra money.
What is it that you wish to cut down? The supervisory fee or the fine, or both?
If I could get both, I'd greatly appreciate it, but whichever one you feel is appropriate, sir.
All right. Let's cut the supervisory fee to $28 a month. That's a $10 a month break. You can use that for your bills or whatever.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And then the fine, I will probate half of that. That being $250 will be probated. That means if you live up to the conditions of supervision 100%, then having completed everything, the case gets dismissed. You don't have a conviction, and in addition, you pay $250, not $500. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Well, you're not through yet. If you screw up, the whole potato's on the board. That includes $0 to $4,000 fine and jail from 0 days to 1 year. Get her done.
Yes, sir. If I gotta be honest, I feel like my parents are gonna be more on me than anybody else because I'm already difficult on myself when it comes to this.
All right. Well, get it together.
Yes,
Stay
sir.
together. Good
Yes,
luck
sir.
on being brought into the military as an officer.
Yes,
All
sir. I
right.
appreciate it.
You will both meet, you and Ms. Luna. Mr. Ferrer might want to join you. That's up to him. And Mr. Ferris, is there any question?
I think we've covered just about everything and then some, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
All righty. Mr. Edelman, question?
Nothing from the state, sir.
All right. Then this concludes this particular proceeding with the